The grand ballroom of Ashcombe Manor sparkled under a dazzling array of crystal chandeliers, their reflective surfaces casting glimmers across the elegant assembly of societal elites. A soft murmur of laughter and the rustle of silk gowns filled the air, mingling with the sweet strains of a string quartet. This was the annual charity ball, a night where fortunes were quietly exchanged along with glances, and where every guest wore not only fine attire, but a carefully crafted persona. Among the throng of elegantly dressed figures, Lady Isadora Pelham stood apart. Clad in a deep emerald gown, she radiated an independent spirit that was palpable even amidst the societal constraints that encumbered her peers. With her dark curls cascading loosely around her shoulders, she exuded an air of defiance. For Isadora, the ball was a mere obligation, a backdrop against which she could observe her world, not a stage for her to perform upon. As she surveyed the room, her gaze fell upon the Duke of Ashcombe, a figure carved from the very marble of high society. He leaned against a column, his tall frame enveloped in a tailored black coat that spoke of wealth and power. Despite the numerous conversations swirling around him, an aura of isolation surrounded the Duke, a contrast to his confident facade. Intrigued, Isadora moved closer, her heart beating with an unexpected thrill. "I do believe you are the most blasphemous guest here, my lady," he remarked, a hint of amusement coloring his deep voice as their eyes met. "Forgive my audacity, Your Grace," she replied, a playful smile forming on her lips. "I merely sought to escape the confines of genteel niceties." Their banter felt almost electric, an instant connection sparked by shared wit and an undeniable awareness of their surroundings. For a moment, the noise of the gala faded, and the two found themselves in a world of their own, one where societal expectations were but a distant whisper. As the music swelled, they began to dance, an elegant waltz that sent them twirling across the floor. Isadora reveled in the sensation of being twirled into his embrace, her heart racing not just from the dance, but from the thrill of feeling seen and appreciated as no one else had. She could sense beneath the Duke's charming exterior a complexity that intrigued her even more. Yet beneath her excitement, a flicker of apprehension danced. Would the connection they shared withstand the weight of expectations that society would soon impose upon them? She was determined to remain herself, to not be caged by the roles women were expected to play. As they danced, her thoughts raced, contemplating the delicate balance of independence and societal duty she had always strived to maintain. Just then, the music came to an abrupt halt, and the guests shifted, whispers rising around them. A newcomer entered the ballroom, a figure draped in the arrogance of titled nobility. Lady Margot, the former fiancée of the Duke, stood at the entrance, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on Isadora. Lady Margot's presence was as stifling as a summer heatwave, and Isadora felt a chill, a foreboding that the night could shift at any moment. "Forgive me, Your Grace. It appears I must attend to a rather pressing matter," he murmured, his expression shaded with concern. As he released her, Isadora felt her heart plummet slightly. The connection had been so vibrant, and yet here was the reality, a possible scandal waiting to unfold. Moments later, the Duke approached her again, this time with a seriousness that cloaked his earlier charm. "Lady Isadora," he began, his tone grave, "I find myself in a rather precarious position concerning my family estate. The burden of expectation weighs heavily upon my shoulders, and I have come to ask you for a rather unconventional favor." Isadora's brow furrowed. She was well aware of the pressures surrounding noble families and their estates. "What could I possibly do to alleviate such burdens, Your Grace?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "A sham marriage," he proposed, the words tumbling out as though they were a spell that had been cast. "You would marry me, but this union would merely serve to placate my family and preserve the estate. In return, you would enjoy your independence, entirely free from the expectations of society." His eyes locked onto hers, revealing a vulnerability beneath the Duke's polished exterior. She paused, incredulity mingling with intrigue. Isadora had always envisioned her future adorned with passion and deep connection, not bound by a facade. Yet, the prospect of defying expectations appealed to her independent spirit. "And you think I would be satisfied with such an arrangement?" she challenged, a spark igniting within her. He smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "I believe you would find it to your liking more than you would admit." The challenge in his gaze, the thrill of defiance against societal norms, ignited something within her. "I thought you'd never ask," she replied with practiced indifference, yet inwardly her heart raced. A moment of silence hung between them, thick with the implications of their agreement. The Duke's expression shifted, revealing his surprise at her acceptance. He was trapped now, ensnared by his own bold proposal. As the music began again, Isadora felt a rush of exhilaration. She had taken a step that few would dare to, and in doing so, had not just agreed to a sham marriage, but had also embraced a journey that could lead to genuine transformation. Determined to carve her own path, Isadora resolved to navigate the complexities of this unexpected arrangement with her spirit intact. As they danced once more, she gazed into the depths of his eyes and wondered what lay ahead, an adventure fraught with challenges and unforeseen emotions. But one truth lingered in her mind. She would never allow herself to be a mere pawn in a game dictated by society. A thrilling journey awaited, and with it came the promise of self-discovery, as they both stepped onto a path fraught with complications they had yet to fully comprehend. And with that unspoken understanding, the night continued, sweeping them into a world of both intrigue and uncertainty, each determined to keep their hearts close and their secrets closer. As the last notes of the waltz faded into silence, the atmosphere in Ashcombe Manor shifted palpably. The Duke and Isadora, momentarily lost in their world, now faced the curious gazes of their peers, all eager for the next chapter of this unexpected story. The Duke straightened his coat, the familiar tension of his responsibilities settling back upon his shoulders like an unwelcome cloak. "Shall we?" he asked, offering his arm to Isadora. She hesitated for a moment, her heart fluttering with both excitement and trepidation. The thrill of what lay ahead mingled with the anticipation of the scrutiny they would soon face. As they moved toward the center of the ballroom, whispers began to swirl around them like the delicate lace of Isadora's gown. "Attention! Attention, everyone!" The Duke's voice boomed across the room, commanding immediate silence. The guests, intrigued, turned their full attention to the pair. "I am pleased to announce my engagement to Lady Isadora Pelham." His tone was steady, though a flicker of uncertainty crossed his eyes as he glanced at Isadora. A collective gasp echoed through the hall, some in surprise, others in skepticism. Isadora felt her cheeks burn under the weight of their stares. She caught the eyes of Lady Margot, whose expression was a mix of disbelief and simmering anger. "Engaged?" a voice called out from the crowd, breaking the silence. "What a peculiar match! Isadora is hardly of noble lineage." The speaker, a portly gentleman with a penchant for gossip, smirked. The Duke's jaw clenched slightly, but he remained composed. "Lady Isadora possesses qualities far beyond her title," he countered, his gaze unwavering. Isadora felt a swell of gratitude mixed with apprehension. His defense was genuine, yet the implications of his words hung heavily in the air. "Is it true, then?" Lady Margot interjected sharply, her voice like ice. "You intend to marry for convenience, not love?" The tension in the room thickened. All eyes shifted from the Duke to Isadora, who felt as if she was placed upon a stage, vulnerable and exposed. "Love is a luxury few can afford in our world," Isadora replied, her voice steady despite the chaos in her heart. "If this arrangement serves to uphold the dignity of both our families, then I find it a worthy endeavor." The murmurs escalated, some guests nodding in agreement while others whispered disapproval. "A sham engagement, Another voice piped up. "Is that not scandalous?" "Perhaps, but it is our scandal," the Duke replied, stepping slightly closer to Isadora. "We are adults, capable of making our own decisions." The firmness in his tone quelled the rising chatter for a moment, but a shadow of doubt lingered in the air. In the days that followed, the engagement became the talk of the town, and whispers turned to speculation. The Duke found himself increasingly preoccupied with thoughts of Isadora. Her spirited nature, her fierce independence, it captivated him in unexpected ways. He had sought a mere arrangement, a practical solution to his family's mounting pressures, yet with each passing moment spent in her company, admiration blossomed within him. One evening, as they convened in the drawing room of Ashcombe Manor, the flickering candlelight danced across their faces. "You know, I never intended for this to unfold quite like this," he confessed, his voice low. "I sought a facade, but you make me question everything." Isadora met his gaze, the weight of his words settling between them. "Perhaps you underestimate the strength of both your heart and your family." Her eyes glimmered with understanding. She sensed the turmoil within him, the struggle against the expectations that bound him like chains. "Expectations," he echoed, a trace of bitterness coloring his tone. "My family has a history of demanding perfection, of upholding a legacy that often feels as heavy as lead." He leaned forward, vulnerability etched on his features. "I fear I may falter under that weight." "Then let us share it," she offered, surprising even herself with her sincerity. "Our arrangement, this sham marriage, it can also be a partnership. We can forge our own path, one where we can support each other, not just in public, but in the truth of who we are." He studied her, and in that moment, something shifted between them. The Duke's admiration deepened, mingling with a spark of hope. "You make it sound so simple, my lady," he said, a slight smile breaking through his earlier seriousness. "Nothing worthwhile is simple, Your Grace," she replied, her tone playful yet earnest. "But perhaps we can navigate the complexities together." Their agreement felt like a fragile thread, one that could easily unravel under the scrutiny of society. As days turned to weeks, Isadora found herself drawn deeper into the Duke's world, yet she also sensed the fractures beneath the polished surface of his family's expectations. The whispers grew sharper. The Duke's family seemed increasingly skeptical about their union, and Isadora found herself questioning the implications of their agreement. "Do you think they will accept me?" she asked one evening, her voice laced with concern. "I hope so, but they are bound by their own fears," he admitted, a shadow passing over his eyes. "My past, it complicates things more than I would like." "What past?" she pressed gently, sensing the weight he carried. He hesitated, the silence stretching between them. "It's not a story I share lightly, but perhaps it is time you knew. My family has suffered losses, and their desire for control stems from fear. They see my choices as a reflection of their failures." Isadora felt a pang of sympathy for him, realizing that the stakes were higher than she had imagined. "Then we must show them that we are capable," she said, her resolve strengthening. "Together, we can confront their expectations." As the evening drew to a close, Isadora felt a renewed sense of purpose. Though the road ahead was fraught with challenges, she was determined to stand by the Duke's side. Their engagement, once a mere arrangement, began to take on a life of its own, one woven with the promise of something deeper. If only they could navigate the treacherous waters of society together. As she retired to her chambers that night, Isadora's heart raced with the possibilities that lay ahead. The Duke was trapped now, yes, but perhaps they both were in a web of their own making. A web that could either ensnare them or set them free. And as she drifted into sleep, she wondered, could they truly forge their own destiny amidst the expectations of their world? If this journey of unexpected love and societal hurdles resonates with you, please share this tale with someone who enjoys stories of resilience and romance. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next chapter. As the days turned into weeks leading up to the wedding, Isadora found herself swept into a whirlwind of preparations. The grandeur of Ashcombe Manor, adorned with exquisite flowers and shimmering fabrics, was a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing within her heart. While she engaged with tailors and florists, her thoughts often drifted to the Duke, whose unexpected vulnerability had ignited a spark of compassion within her. She longed to know him beyond the facade he presented to the world. One afternoon, as Isadora perused the vast library of the manor, the scent of old books mingling with fresh parchment filled the air. She stumbled upon a dusty tome that seemed oddly out of place. Curiosity piqued, she pulled it from the shelf, revealing a collection of correspondence, letters addressed to the Duke from various figures of the ton. As she flipped through the pages, a particular letter caught her eye. Its tone was accusatory, laden with whispers of scandal involving the Duke's family. Her heart raced as she read the contents, detailing a rumored financial misdeed that threatened to tarnish the Ashcombe name. The words tumbled through her mind, each one more alarming than the last. The implications were dire, not only for the Duke, but for their impending union. Would society view their marriage as merely a way to mask a greater scandal? Would she be forever tainted by association? Just as she closed the book, the door creaked open, and the Duke entered, his presence filling the room with an undeniable weight. "Ah, Lady Isadora, I did not expect to find you here," he remarked, his voice smooth yet tinged with the weariness of a man burdened by hidden troubles. "I was merely indulging in the library's treasures, Your Grace," she replied, her heart pounding as she wrestled with the knowledge she had uncovered. There was no easy way to broach the subject. He stepped closer, the sunlight streaming through the tall windows illuminating the determined lines of his face. "I hope the preparations for our wedding do not overwhelm you. I would not want you to feel trapped in this arrangement." "Trapped?" she echoed, her voice softer than intended. "I find it a worthy endeavor, but I must confess, I have stumbled upon something concerning regarding your family." His brow furrowed, and for a moment she saw a flicker of something. Fear? Anger? He took a step back, crossing his arms. "What do you mean?" Taking a breath, Isadora gathered her courage. "There are whispers, rumors of a scandal involving financial improprieties. They suggest that your family is in deeper trouble than anyone realizes." The air between them thickened, charged with unspoken truths. "You should not concern yourself with such gossip," he replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his tone. "People will say anything to stir the pot." "Yet what if there is truth to it?" she pressed, feeling the weight of their engagement settle heavily on her shoulders. "What if this affects not only you, but our union?" He paced the room, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "There are always rumors, Isadora. The ton thrives on scandal. It is a distraction from their own failings. I have navigated such waters before. But at what cost?" she challenged, her heart racing with the intensity of the moment. "If we are to marry, we must confront these issues openly, or they will haunt us." The Duke paused, turning to face her, the tension in his shoulders relaxing slightly. "You are more perceptive than I initially gave you credit for. It is true, my family has been under scrutiny. There are expectations to uphold, and the pressure." He sighed, his bravado momentarily fading. "It can feel suffocating." Isadora stepped closer, her resolve strengthening. "Then let us face this together. I may not be of noble blood, but I will stand by you if you allow it. We can reshape this narrative." His gaze softened, and for a fleeting moment, the mask he wore slipped, revealing the man she had begun to admire. "You truly wish to share this burden? I fear it may crush what little hope I have left." "Hope is worth fighting for," she replied firmly, her voice steady. "If we approach this as partners, we can weather any storm." A silence enveloped them, thick with unsaid thoughts and shared understanding. The Duke stepped closer, a hint of a smile breaking through the tension. You have a strength I did not expect, Lady Isadora. Perhaps we can indeed confront this together." Just then, the door swung open, interrupting their moment. Lady Margot strode in, her expression a mix of faux cheer and thinly veiled disdain. "Ah, there you are, Duke. I was just discussing the upcoming wedding with some friends. It seems whispers of your engagement are making the rounds." The Duke stiffened, and Isadora felt the air grow heavy with tension once more. "And what have they said?" he asked, his voice low. Margot smirked, her eyes glinting with malice. "That the union is merely a facade to mask your family's troubles. How tragic that you must resort to such tactics." Isadora's heart sank. The very rumors she sought to confront were now being thrown in their faces, chipping away at the fragile bond they had begun to form. "Let them talk," the Duke replied, his demeanor shifting back to the composed facade of the Duke of Ashcombe. "We shall show them the strength of our union, regardless of their speculation." Isadora nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They may be cornered now, but together, they might just find a way to rewrite their story. As Lady Margot continued her tirade, Isadora stole a glance at the Duke, whose resolve seemed to strengthen in the face of adversity. Perhaps this unexpected journey would lead them to a bond deeper than either had anticipated. And so, the stage was set. The path ahead was fraught with challenges. But in the heart of Ashcombe Manor, an unexpected alliance was beginning to flourish. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the ornate furnishings of Ashcombe Manor, Isadora sensed a change in the air. The Duke's vulnerability stirred something deep within her, and yet doubts lingered like shadows at the edges of her thoughts. Just as their conversation reached a tender moment, a sharp knock echoed through the library, shattering their fragile intimacy. The Duke's expression shifted, revealing a flicker of apprehension. Who could that be at this hour? He turned toward the door, his brow furrowing as he opened it to reveal a striking young woman with a commanding presence. She stood tall, her dark hair cascading in waves, framing a face that was both familiar and foreign. "Sebastian!" she exclaimed, her voice cutting through the room like a blade. "I've come to see you. We need to talk." Isadora stepped back, feeling an unexpected wave of jealousy. This was the first time she had ever witnessed a glimpse of the Duke's family life, and here stood his sister, an unexpected specter from a past he had long tried to escape. "Cassandra," the Duke replied, his tone a mixture of surprise and wariness. "What are you doing here? Do you think I would let you marry that woman without knowing the truth?" she shot back, her green eyes flashing with determination as she turned her gaze toward Isadora. "You must be the infamous Lady Isadora Pelham. I heard about the engagement, though I hardly believe it's a match made in heaven." "I assure you, Miss Ashcombe, our arrangement is quite beneficial for both parties," Isadora replied, her voice steady even as her heart raced. Cassandra stepped further into the room, brushing past the Duke as if she had every right to invade their sanctuary. "Beneficial?" she scoffed, her expression revealing disdain. "You don't know what you're getting into. This marriage is nothing but a facade meant to shield our family from ruin." The Duke's shoulders tensed, and Isadora could see the struggle within him. "Cassandra, please, we don't need to discuss family matters in front of her," he implored, attempting to reclaim control of the situation. Isadora felt an unexpected wave of defiance swell within her. "If this is about the rumors I've heard, then I should be included. I deserve to know exactly what I am stepping into." "Rumors? You mean the truth?" Cassandra snapped, crossing her arms. "Our family is on the brink of collapse, Sebastian. The financial troubles are more severe than you've let on, and your sham marriage won't save us." "Enough!" the Duke barked, the authority in his voice unsettling both women. "This is not how I wanted you to return to my life. You've been absent for years, and now you choose this moment to confront me?" Cassandra's eyes softened momentarily, revealing a flicker of concern. "I did not choose this moment. You left me no choice. I had to come when I heard about your engagement." You can't hide behind this charade. You owe it to yourself and to the family to confront the truth. Isadora felt the weight of the moment pressing down on her. The stakes of their arrangement were far higher than she had anticipated. "What truth?" she asked, her voice wavering slightly as she reached for the courage she had summoned before. The Duke sighed heavily, his facade cracking. "My family's reputation is at stake, yes. But it's more than that. There are debts, obligations I've inherited, that I cannot escape. Marrying you was never just about a title or a name. It was an obligation?" Cassandra interjected, her tone sharp. "You're not just marrying for a title, Sebastian. You're marrying to save our family from scandal. The Ton will chew you alive if they discover the full extent of our financial troubles." The reality of their situation crystallized for Isadora. This was no ordinary engagement. It was a desperate attempt to salvage the remnants of a legacy. Her heart raced as she considered the implications. And what if this marriage fails? What then? The Duke looked at her, a mixture of vulnerability and determination in his eyes. "That is a risk I'm willing to take. But I need you to understand, Isadora, that this is not merely about us. It is about all that I have fought to uphold." Isadora felt a pang of empathy mixed with her confusion. The man she had begun to care for was caught in a web of family loyalty and societal expectations. "And what if we fail to confront the truth together?" she asked, a voice trembling with the weight of her newfound understanding. Cassandra stepped closer, her expression softening. "If you are truly committed, then you must prepare for the worst. Our family's enemies are relentless, and if they catch wind of this charade, they will not hesitate to use it against you." The Duke turned to Isadora, desperation etched across his face. "If we are to do this, we must be a united front. Your strength, your resolve, these are qualities I need by my side. Will you stand with me?" A profound silence enveloped the room. Isadora's heart raced as she contemplated the depth of the commitment they were considering. "I will stand with you," she finally declared, her voice steady. "But we must face the truth, not just hide from it." Cassandra nodded, a reluctant admiration shining in her eyes. "Then we must prepare. The storm is coming." As the weight of their situation settled around them, Isadora felt a strange sense of clarity. Their bond, initially rooted in necessity, was evolving into something more profound. She was determined to navigate the treacherous waters ahead, not only for herself, but for the Duke and the family that had become so intricately entwined with her fate. The night deepened, but within Ashcombe Manor, a new resolve had been forged, a commitment to face the trials ahead together. Our discussion of the fates of hidden truths and unexpected bonds resonates with you. Consider sharing it with someone who enjoys stories of resilience and love in the face of adversity. Please turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of this unfolding journey. Isadora stood near the edge of the gathering, her heart pounding as she observed the guests mingling, every smile and nod concealing whispered judgments. The Duke remained by her side, though his demeanor was noticeably strained. She sensed the weight of societal expectations pressing down upon them with every passing moment. Their engagement had become the talk of the ton, but not for the reasons either had anticipated. Rumors had begun to circulate, insinuating that their union was not merely a sham, but a love story blossoming in the shadows. The implication both thrilled and terrified Isadora, and she turned to the Duke, her voice low. "Sebastian, do you hear what they're saying?" He frowned, his gaze fixed on a distant group of guests. "I cannot control what others think, Isadora. All I can do is focus on us." "Yet here we are, surrounded by a sea of skepticism," she replied, a spark of determination igniting within her. "What if we were to show them? Prove that we are more than just an obligation, a mere arrangement." Sebastian turned to her, the surprise in his eyes mingling with admiration. "You wish to confront them? It's time we take charge of our narrative," she asserted, her voice steady. Let them see that our bond is real, for better or worse." Just then, a ripple of laughter drew their attention, and Isadora's stomach tightened as she recognized the source. Cassandra, the Duke's sister, was making her way through the crowd, her presence commanding and undeniable. She had a flair for drama, and her appearance only intensified the scrutiny upon them. "Look who's gracing us with her presence," Isadora murmured under her breath. "Shall we engage her?" Sebastian hesitated, but Isadora took the lead, striding forward to intercept Cassandra. The young woman's eyes narrowed as they locked onto Isadora's, a silent challenge passing between them. "Lady Isadora," Cassandra greeted, her voice laced with a saccharine sweetness that only masked her true intentions. "I see you've managed to secure a place at my brother's side. How delightful." Isadora squared her shoulders, refusing to be daunted. "And I see you've returned just in time to witness our union. How fortuitous." "Fortuitous or foolish?" Cassandra retorted, her gaze flickering toward the group of elite onlookers. "Do you truly believe they'll accept this farce?" Isadora's heart raced at the challenge. "I believe we can shape their perception if we present ourselves with honesty," she replied, her voice firm. "If we stand united." Cassandra's laughter rang out, sharp and derisive. "Oh, sweet Isadora! Do you honestly think a few moments of bravado will change their minds? You're stepping into a world where appearances are everything, and any misstep could lead to ruin." "Then let us show them what we're made of," Isadora declared, emboldened by the weight of her conviction. "Together." "Together?" Sebastian interjected, his brow furrowing in concern. "Is that wise?" "Wise or not, it is necessary," she insisted. "We cannot allow ourselves to become victims of the narrative they wish to craft. We must assert our truth." With a shared glance, the Duke and Isadora stepped forward, determined to confront the whispers and doubts head-on. They wove through the throngs of guests, moving toward the center of the garden, where a stunning fountain gurgled, the centerpiece of the event. As they reached the hub of the party, a hush fell over the crowd, all eyes drawn to the couple who dared to challenge the status quo. Isadora's heart raced, but she held her ground, her chin lifted defiantly. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice projecting over the murmurs, "we find ourselves at a crossroads, caught between expectation and reality. I stand here with the Duke, not as a mere figure of convenience, but as a partner who believes in the strength of our bond." A gasp rippled through the assembly, and whispers cascaded like an unrelenting tide. Sebastian's hand found Isadora's, a reassuring squeeze that anchored her. "I cannot deny the challenges we face," he added, his voice steady. "But I refuse to let the weight of our circumstances dictate the authenticity of our relationship. We are committed to this union, and we ask for your support in this journey." The murmurs grew louder, the crowd shifting uneasily. Isadora felt the pressure mount as rumors swirled, each word like a sharp knife cutting through her resolve. "What if they see through this charade?" she thought, a flicker of doubt igniting within her. Cassandra, however, stepped forward, her presence striking. "You think they'll believe this performance?" she challenged, her voice dripping with skepticism. "What you fail to realize is that the truth has a way of coming to light. The Ton will not be easily swayed by your declarations." "Perhaps," Isadora replied, her heart pounding fiercely. "But if we don't stand up for ourselves, we will be lost to their whispers forever." As the crowd began to murmur again, a heavy tension hung in the air, and Isadora felt the stakes rise dramatically. She had laid their truth bare, but the answer to whether it would be accepted still lingered in the silence that followed. The Duke glanced at Isadora, his expression revealing a mix of admiration and apprehension. "What now?" he whispered, his voice barely audible above the chatter. "What now indeed?" she replied softly. "We face this together, whatever comes." As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the garden, Isadora knew they were at a precipice. The fragile web of their engagement was under threat, and the time had come for the Duke to confront not only societal expectations, but his own heart as well. Would he choose the path of obligation or one of true partnership? The answer awaited them, just beyond the horizon of their current reality. As Isadora stood resolutely before the assembled guests, her heart racing, she felt the weight of their scrutiny pressing heavily upon her. The fountain's water sparkled in the light, reflecting her determination as she continued. "I stand here with the Duke, not merely as an obligation, but as a partner in a journey that we are navigating together." A murmur rippled through the crowd, and the tension felt palpable. Isadora searched the faces before her, looking for signs of understanding or acceptance. But all she saw were raised brows and skeptical whispers. Yet in that moment, a flicker of something deeper ignited within her, an unyielding belief in the possibility of love that could flourish amidst societal expectations. Sebastian's presence beside her was both a comfort and a challenge. He exuded an aura of strength, but she could sense his apprehension as he shifted slightly, his hand brushing against hers. She caught his eye, and for a fleeting moment, they exchanged an understanding that transcended words. This was their moment. They would face it together. Yet, as the gaze of the crowd bore down upon them, Sebastian took a step forward, his voice steady, yet filled with vulnerability. "Isadora speaks the truth. Our engagement may have been born from necessity, yet in it we have discovered something unexpected." He paused, looking out at the guests, daring them to listen. "I cannot deny that our circumstances have changed. In the time we have spent together, I have come to see Isadora not just as my fiancée, but as a woman of remarkable strength and depth." Isadora felt a warmth spread through her at his admission, her heart swelling with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The Duke's transformation was palpable. He was shedding the layers of obligation that had once cloaked him, embracing a more authentic self. But little did he know that she too was awakening to a truth that had quietly taken root in her heart. "Isadora," he continued, his gaze now fixed solely on her, "you have shown me that love can exist where one least expects it. I am not the man who merely seeks to uphold a title or a family name. I am a man who wishes to forge a genuine connection." His voice lowered, almost intimate. "I find myself irrevocably drawn to you." The crowd fell silent, the tension morphing into an electric charge. Isadora's breath caught in her throat. She had been wrestling with her own feelings, a confusion that had blossomed into undeniable affection. She opened her mouth to respond, but the words lodged in her throat. This revelation altered everything. Could it be that he too had fallen for her? "I thought you'd never ask," she finally whispered, a teasing lilt to her voice that surprised even herself. The corner of Sebastian's lips curled into a smile, a mixture of relief and delight washing over him. Laughter erupted from the guest at the unexpected exchange, breaking the tension that had lingered in the air. It was the levity they both needed, a reminder that the world would continue to spin regardless of their confessions. Yet amidst the laughter, Isadora felt a deepening connection with Sebastian, an unspoken bond solidifying between them. "Do you see?" she spoke softly, her heart racing with the realization. "They want to believe in us. They yearn for a story that transcends mere obligation." Sebastian nodded, taking her hand in his, their fingers intertwining. "Then let us give them that story, Isadora. Together we will show them that our union is more than a facade. It is a partnership, one of trust and newfound affection." The guests around them began to murmur, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. Isadora felt emboldened, as if a new strength had been unlocked within her. "Together we shall navigate this path," she affirmed, her voice clearer and stronger than before. "We will not allow others to define us. Our truth will be our own." Just then, Cassandra, who had been lurking at the edge of the gathering, stepped forward, her expression one of disbelief and fury. "You think this charade will suffice?" she spat, her voice dripping with disdain. "The Tun will never accept you, Isadora, not as the Duchess. You are nothing but a pawn in a game you cannot comprehend." Isadora felt a flash of defiance ignite within her. "I refuse to be defined by your expectations, Cassandra. I am not merely a pawn. I am Isadora Pelham, and I choose to embrace my own narrative." The garden fell silent once more, the air thick with anticipation. She could see the surprise etched on the faces of those around her, a mixture of admiration and disbelief. The Duke's grip on her hand tightened, a silent show of support that bolstered her resolve. "Let them talk," he said quietly, his eyes scanning the crowd for any hint of dissent. "What matters is how we move forward from here. Our love, if nurtured, could bloom spectacularly despite the odds." Isadora smiled, feeling a blossoming warmth bloom in her chest. She had fallen for the Duke, and the stakes of their arrangement had shifted dramatically. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with obstacles that they would need to confront together. But in that moment, standing under the bright spring sun, surrounded by both allies and adversaries, she felt a sense of clarity. "Let us step into our future," she declared, her voice ringing with conviction. "With truth as our foundation, we will face whatever comes our way." And as the whispers began to fade, replaced with a newfound sense of hope and possibility, Isadora grasped the Duke's hand tighter, ready to embrace whatever awaited them beyond the garden party of Ashcombe Manor. Together, they would redefine their story, one filled with love, resilience, and the promise of a shared destiny. Before we dive into the final chapter of this thrilling tale, if you're feeling the excitement of Isadora and Sebastian's journey, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe for more captivating stories. If this moment of revelation is striking a chord with you, share this story with someone who appreciates tales of transformation and love. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss what happens next. Thank you for being with us through this emotional journey. What was your favorite moment in Isadora and Sebastian's story? Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Stay tuned for the final chapter where everything will be resolved and we'll see the culmination of their love. As the laughter from the guests began to fade, Isadora felt the air shift around them. The tension had transformed into something electric, a current of anticipation coursing through the crowd. She could see the whispers of disbelief slowly morphing into intrigue, as if the very fabric of societal expectations was being tested. The Duke, with his unwavering gaze fixed on her, seemed to draw strength from her presence, and she from his. It was a moment that neither of them would soon forget. Together, Isadora affirmed, her voice steady, "We will redefine what it means to be united. Our marriage is not simply a transaction. It is a commitment to ourselves and to each other." The guests leaned in, captivated by her fervor. "We will not allow the chains of tradition to bind us. Love, real love, is worth the risk of defiance. It is worth the challenge of stepping outside the expectations that have been placed upon us." Sebastian nodded, his expression a mixture of pride and admiration. Isadora is right. We are embarking on a journey that may not be understood by all, but it is ours to navigate. We will face every challenge, every doubt, together. His voice rang out, a clarion call that pierced through the murmurings of the crowd. The Duke's vulnerability was a stark contrast to the aloof persona he had once projected. It revealed a man willing to fight for love, not just for title or prestige. As the words hung in the air, Cassandra, who had been lurking at the edge of the gathering, stepped forward, her expression one of disbelief and fury. "You cannot be serious," she exclaimed, her voice sharp and accusatory. "You would throw away your future for a whim? For a lady who has no regard for the family name?" Isadora felt the familiar pang of insecurity rise within her, but she quickly steeled herself. "This is not a whim, Cassandra. It is a choice for happiness, for authenticity." She glanced at Sebastian, who who was watching her with a mixture of admiration and support. We are choosing to be true to ourselves, despite what society expects of us. Cassandra's eyes narrowed, but Isadora could see the flicker of uncertainty there. The crowd, once skeptical, began to murmur amongst themselves, weighing the truth of Isadora's words against their own preconceived notions. Love is not a burden, nor is it an obligation, Isadora continued, her voice rising with passion. It is a gift that we are choosing to embrace. The guests were now engaged, their expressions shifting from shock to contemplation. Isadora could sense the walls of judgment beginning to crumble, brick by brick. Perhaps one voice among the crowd spoke up. This is what we have all been waiting for, a love that defies the norms. Encouraged by this new wave of support, Sebastian stepped closer to Isadora, taking her hand firmly in his. Let us show them that this is not merely a facade. We are committed to building a life that is authentic and meaningful, one that honors our hearts and our choices. At that moment, Isadora felt an overwhelming sense of liberation. Her heart soared, buoyed by the realization that they were not alone in their defiance. Together, they were challenging the status quo, and in doing so, they were inspiring others to do the same. As the murmurs grew louder, an elderly gentleman, one of the more traditional members of the society, cleared his throat. If they can find happiness in such a union, perhaps we should reconsider our own views on love and marriage, he said thoughtfully. His words acted as a catalyst, igniting a spark of curiosity that spread through the crowd. Isadora exchanged a glance with Sebastian, a silent acknowledgement of the momentum they had created. This is just the beginning, she whispered, her heart racing with the thrill of their newfound freedom. We will pave the way for a new narrative, one where love is authentic and not bound by the chains of expectation. As the crowd began to applaud, Isadora felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. It was a moment of triumph, not just for them, but for all those who had ever felt trapped by societal norms. They were rewriting the rules, and in doing so, they were reclaiming their futures. Let this be a new beginning, Sebastian declared, his voice resonating with hope. Together, we will build a life filled with love, laughter, and adventure. We will not be defined by the expectations of others, but by our own choices. With that, the applause grew louder, echoing through the garden as the guests began to rally around the couple. Isadora felt a warmth spread through her, knowing that they had not only forged a path for themselves, but had ignited a movement that could change the hearts of many. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over Ashcombe Manor, Isadora and Sebastian stood hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but it was filled with infinite possibilities, and they were prepared to face it together, united in love, defiance, and hope. In that moment, surrounded by the acceptance of those who had once doubted them, Isadora knew that they had created something beautiful. A love story that would resonate far beyond the confines of societal expectations. They had chosen each other, and that choice was the most profound declaration of all. "Let us begin," she whispered, her heart full as they stepped forward into their new life, hand in hand, ready to write the next chapter together.